Okay, so I'll wait a couple of minutes before I get going. Yeah.
Now the attendees can hear you. You have to start your presentation.
I can start now?
Yes.
Hari Om, Namaskar. This is Ved Chowdhury. I'm located in New Jersey, USA. It's 10 a.m. here. My good morning to everyone in USA and good evening to everyone in India. Let me see if my presentation, oops. I have to do it manually from somewhere.
It's there. Your presentation is there first.
I know, I'm just trying to move it. Okay. So this is webinar 108. And first of all, I would like to thank Swamiji, Swamiji Pranams. And thanks to Swamiji for giving me the opportunity to speak on this auspicious day. This is January 14th today, Makar Sankranti Divas. So I'm so glad when I realized that this is webinar number 108, which is a very auspicious number. And this day is Makar Sankranti. Makar Sankranti is when suns transition into the Makara, Capricorn. And it starts the 6 months of sun's travel in Uttarayana. So it's a very auspicious day. My best wishes to everyone for the Makar Sankranti. I happen to think of the one verse in Bhagavad Gita about the Agni Jyoti Ha Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayanam. It's not related to our talk right now today. So I'll just go on. Today's topic for the webinar I had selected was satyam brūyāt, priyam brūyāt, na brūyāt satyam-apriyam, priyam cha nānritam brūyāt, esha dharmah sanātanah. I had learned this verse in the 6th grade when I started learning Sanskrit. It's a verse from a very civilized culture, which says that satyam brūyāt, priyam brūyāt, speak the truth in a manner that is pleasing to the listener. And then an admonition about na brūyāt satyam-apriyam. Do not speak the truth that is unpleasant to the listener. I'll be focusing on this one. Also, the second line of the verse says, priyam cha nānritam brūyāt. Do not speak untruth, nānritam na brūyāt. Do not speak untruth, even if it were pleasant to the listener, which is called flattery. And esha dharmah sanātanah. This is the path of eternal dharma. One thing I just want to mention, since I mentioned that this I learned in the 6th grade when I was learning Sanskrit, that I found from that age that Sanskrit has something that really speaks more deeply than any other language. Of course, I know Hindi and have learned English very well. I have learned French and a bit of Spanish now. But, and have learned some Urdu, which is no different than Hindi. But Sanskrit has a special place. Somehow it is Sanskrit. It's a well-designed language. No other language is well-designed. And I'm glad to tell you that only recently, like last week, I learned there is an article, there's a research at, I think, Harvard, neuroscientist who measured the brain development of Pandits in India who chant Sanskrit shlokas every day. And they found that chanting Sanskrit in a controlled experiment, those who chanted Sanskrit compared to those who did not, from same geographic area, same kind of other criteria, age and education and so on and so forth. And those who studied Sanskrit had bigger brain cells capacity in their brain, in hippocampus and the regions of the brain that relate to cognition. So I was very pleased and in a way surprised, but not surprised, because I felt from the beginning that when I studied Sanskrit, that this language has a much deeper impact on everything in your body, mind, brain establishment. So just wanted to say that, and I'll put that article in my website on Isha for anybody to read. Coming back to the na brūyāt satyam-apriyam, do not speak the truth that is unpleasant to the listener. This has been practiced historically in all cultures, because we all know that whether it is a Hindu king or Muslim or Christians, the messenger of bad news was beheaded or somehow not treated very well. So this is something which is well established, has been historically well established. Then there are, in our culture, Satya is so very heavily emphasized. You see references to it everywhere. Of course, the most well-known saying is satyam-eva jayate. This truth only triumphs. And in the introduction, I had found a picture, and I sent that about with a question mark on satyam-eva jayate. But I guess my picture is not coming because it's covered with picture. So I can try to move. Okay. Also, when I was growing up, we heard about the story of the Satya Harishchandra, which was the story of truth at any cost, and the cost were indeed unimaginable. But the story had a moral, and that was truth at any cost. Similarly, in Ramayana, there is the line, there is the story about King Dashratha, who said these words, Raghukulariti sada chale aayi, prana jaye, but bachan na jaye. Keep your word at any cost. So these are some of the corroborating sayings from various sources in our tradition. Okay, that's a problem that I have. Now that I have my picture up there, now I can't get, okay. Oops. Okay, let me do this so I have both. And I can do that. I would like to, as I mentioned in my introduction, like to share my life experiences. That's where my focus on Satya grew. Of course, very early in life, my grandmother taught me, and it was a saying all around my family, that if you always speak the truth, even apriya satya, your words, even your dreams will come true. Because we used to ask, like, we hear so many instances that various rishis gave a boon or a curse, and it came out true. Whatever they said came out true. And I asked, like, how did that happen? And the explanation I got was, those who always speak the truth, their words will come true. So I did follow uh, that advice from my grandmother, mother, father, everyone in the family. And to my surprise, I had a dream which is just even now I find it hard to imagine how that can happen, that it came true. That in the end of the 8th grade, there were exams, which were done like in March, finished. And the summer starts in March, April. And there were no schools, so there was plenty of time. In summer, I used to, my grandmother and mother and family asked me to read Ramayana for an hour and then take a nap for an hour. So this was kind of the routine. And after reading the Ramayana for a month or something and going through the process, I was taking a nap in the daytime, and I had a dream. And the dream was that the result of the 8th grade is out. I'm looking at the newspaper. And of course, I knew I'll get first class. That was not any question. But that I saw that I had 11th position, 1-1, 11th position in the district. And that I had distinction in math and Hindi. Now, math, of course, I knew I'll get distinction in math, but Hindi, that was unimaginable. Nobody gets distinction in Hindi. So when I woke up, I told my sister that this is the dream I have seen. And what I was afraid was that, is it 11th position or is it 1-1 equal to second position? And I, a child's mind, I thought, if I got second position, my father will be very angry that if you had worked harder, you would have gotten the first position. But if it is 11th, that's fine. And actually, I tried to see if I go back to sleep and see the same picture, the same newspaper again. But of course, that doesn't happen. But I knew that part of that dream is it's true that I got first class. But the part about having 11th position and distinction in Hindi, I said, well, let's see whether that comes true. Then a month later or something, I was attending a barat in another town, 20, 50 miles away from the house, my house. And we heard the news that the result is out. And so we tried to get a newspaper. I got the newspaper. I didn't see the first page or the second page. I went to the last page. That's where the positions of the district are shown. And there on the 11th position was my name. I said, wow. Now that was unbelievable because the position in the district get decided after all the papers have been examined, have been put in order of the total number received by the students. So that normally happens like 2 days before the result is announced in the newspaper. And how did I know in the dream know it more than a month before that? When I saw the dream, the exam papers would not have been even all given marks. So how did that happen? This is still a mystery to me. How did that happen? And then the second thing about getting the marks, well, the mark sheets get shared when, like in July, when the school opens again or something. And my father was the headmaster of the school. And the day he got the mark sheets, we saw and found that, yes, I had distinction in math, and I managed to get distinction in Hindi and not in Sanskrit. I had expected to get distinction in Sanskrit, did not get, but got in Hindi. So those two facts really, they impressed me a great deal, that there is something about speaking the truth. But how to cultivate that to the point of making your dreams come true. There have been other things in life which I was surprised to see dreams coming true, including my coming here and the whole thing. But this did give me a focus in life to work on Satya. Because this starts from early in my age, and otherwise because I am president of the Educators Society for Heritage of India, my presentation is and always is for middle school, high school kind of children and their parents. And I'll put this presentation on my website, ishausa.org, for anyone to refer to. And also because things like this, that is Dharma, should be taught at an early age so that Dharma informs Artha and Kama. Already. Then later in life, I read in Gita, Anudvega karam vakyam, satyam, priya, hitam chayat, swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva, vangmayam tapochyate. Now this I said, wow, I had only heard of satyam brūyāt or read satyam brūyāt, priyam brūyāt. Here is another two dimensions. Anudvega karam vakyam. I was really impressed by so many things in Gita, and that's why Gita has been my sole focus since from the time I got to read it. Anudvega karam vakyam. Speaking in a manner that is anudvega karam, that does not create anxiety in the other person. Anudvega karam vakyam. Satyam, of course. Priyam. Hitam, this is another dimension besides Satyam and Priyam. Hitam, a speech that is in the hita, in the favor of the other person. And then the second part is part of the Vangmayam Tap, which is the Tap of Vani, that's Swadhyaya and Abhyasanam. Swadhyaya and reading of the scripture and Abhyasanam practicing. But I found in the first line that a bigger, expanded advice on speaking the truth. Anudvega karam, satyam, priyam, and hitam. Anudvega karam comes first, and hitam is emphasized. But of course, this doesn't say anything about speaking or not speaking satyam, apriyam. And later in life, I also read Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, which I was kind of taken with a lot of interest because it was subtitled My Experiments with Truth. And indeed, he did work on experimenting with truth. And of course, his biggest deeds that led a nation were called satyagraha. He could have many other names, but he called it satyagraha, which is insist on truth. And of course, we know Mahatma Gandhi emphasized nothing but the truth, whether priya or apriya. So, on my path to experimenting with truth, and the advice that is given in satyam brūyāt, priyam brūyāt, nānritam, satyam-apriyam, as well as anadvegakaram vakyam, satyam priyahitam chayat. After the advice from our scriptures, as well as from management science, behavioral science, I came to realize that always speak the truth, whether priya or apriya. But speak in a manner that shows that it serves hitam of both sides. And practice to speak anudvegakaram vakyam as much as possible. So while it may be apriya satya, but if when we speak, keep in mind that we need to bring out the hitam of both sides, and that we speak in a manner that is anadvegakaram, that does not create anxiety. Just as in Gita, in another reference, Shri Krishna advises Arjuna about going and asking questions of a guru in a manner which is respectful. The apriya satya can also be shared in a way that is, if it is a younger person, and younger person, of course, have to be advised, corrected always, that what you telling them is in their hita. And if it is someone your age or older, then you have to say whatever you say, that you saying it with utmost respect. Your respect is not reduced by what you're going to say, or what you feel, or what you need to bring out. But it must be said because it is in hitam of yours and the other party. And you will see that is the case for children. One must share apriya satya if they are telling a lie or doing dishonest acts or behaving in a manner that is something that need to improve. Then adults have to bring that out, but have to always bring out with making sure that the child understands that you still love him or her, and the grown-ups, that you still respect them. In behavioral science, again, there is the part of truth as well as what is called a mode of behavior. And this I, again, relate to speaking priya satyam and apriya satyam. In our culture, there is a great emphasis on na brūyāt, apriya satya. Especially girls, women, take that to heart and find it very difficult to speak when there is, and actually this is in other cultures as well, as I'll mention a little bit later. But what is best is to be kind of in the middle of the four modes of behavior. The first being non-assertive, where even when someone is doing something that is against your hita, to benefit themselves, but you cannot bring yourself to speak out and say that what they are saying or doing is not right. That is non-assertive behavior. And what happens in that behavior is that a person becomes angry inside but doesn't speak up. And then sometimes they can explode out, be very, very angry, or break the relationship, and so on and so forth. The second aspect, which I have emphasized here, is assertive. Assertive means speak out, speak the truth, but speak in a manner that still keeps the relationship, that is respectful to both sides, and that you don't build up anger. And the other person knows that you're not going to take a behavior that is counterproductive. And then in this scale, there are behaviors called aggressive. And then the last aspect called obnoxious. And you can say, if I give an example that will make it clear to everyone, our current president, Trump, when he says that I only care for America and no one else, and for people who voted for him and nobody else, that is aggressive behavior. And then at other times when he speaks, he's just obnoxious. So he presents examples of those two modes. By the way, in any country, the people who succeed to many of the people who succeed to the highest positions are aggressive because they don't care about others; they care only about themselves. But that is not a behavior to be. And of course, there are many who are assertive and not aggressive. And the behavior with assertive, you can be productive. The whole society can be productive. Your whole organization can be productive. Aggressive behavior leads to people who themselves enrich themselves at the cost of everyone else. So that's why I have emphasized assertive, and behavioral science emphasizes assertive, and management science emphasizes assertive. So I've gone over the consequence of the three behaviors. With non-assertive, you feel that you have been oppressed, violated, wronged, yet you don't speak. And that certainly is not good. Many people in non-assertive behavior end up having anxiety and depression. Very severe consequences of when people are in severe situations. Otherwise, life could be okay, non-assertive, if other people are considerate around you. And that is what is expected in the Indian traditional situation, that that other people will be considerate. You don't have to be assertive or aggressive. But when that is not the case, then the best policy is to be assertive. Going on. Time was, I had to spend 30 minutes. There are two other words that that speak to this mode of behavior. Two words that sound so similar and they rhyme: timidity and temerity. Timidity associated with shyness, being afraid to speak lest somebody will be displeased. And the other aspect, not knowing how to say something because it requires speaking up in a certain way. And temerity is the opposite of that. Boldness, audacity to speak up and to know how to say something. So again, in today's world, even in India, which is following the Western model in everything, in dress and behavior and progress, and when people are not themselves trying to looking after everyone's welfare, then it is best to be in a position, have the temerity to speak up, to say the things that need to be said, but in a way that keeps the relationships, that gives respect to both sides. Be assertive but not aggressive, and come out of the shyness. In India, when I was growing up, I suppose it is still true. Girls who are shy were supposed to be a virtue for girls to be shy. It's, and that is true in other cultures as well, because what we are seeing right now, again, I want to end it on a current situation, which is about have the temerity to speak up. Example being, now we hear in this country, in India, in Japan, and everywhere in the world, the phenomena about Me Too, the women speaking up about the wrong they have been done, the harassment they have suffered. Um, so the best policy um, is to be assertive, but to keep in mind that one is assertive and not aggressive. That you always keep in mind not only your benefit, but the other party also. And if everyone did that, then there'll be no need for aggression, and there'll be no one harassed or put in untenable positions, or where people suffer because of so many people um, who are and in India also this culture is going from the West to look at the corruption, the extent of it, because one wants to only look after their own self and not the others, even within the family, or at least the extended family. So that is my take from my life's experience, from my training from home, from my experiences, and including my management training during the career now, and working with a lot of people from different cultures. So I would, I think, open it up after the prayer here, the universal prayer for world peace. That is something from our culture that is unique. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu, Ma Kashittu, Dukbhag Bhavet. During summer, I run a camp for children where we try to bring aspects of our culture and the Hindi language. The last camp we had was about our journey along River Ganga. That's one way to teach children about our culture. And we had classrooms who were named Gangotri, and Haridwar, and Priyam, Patna, and Calcutta. And we had children learn many songs. And I was very happy to hear a song that children sang when going from one class to another in the hallways. Was ओठों पे सच्चाई रहती है, हर दिल में सफाई रहती है, हम उस देश के वासी हैं जिस देश में गंगा बहती है. So we have so many instances to teach children about being truthful, which is a virtue that one needs to cultivate in life. I'll stop at this and open the room for questions. And let's see. I have 14 attendees. Do I have any question? Or I attendees. I was before forum. Trying. I don't see any. Is there any question? I can unmute.
Right now, there are no questions, no raised hands, nor the typed question.
Oh, okay. Well, keep the floor open for any questions or advice, notes, comments. Okay. I'm surprised that even though I picked a topic where I thought there might be some controversy or discussion or difference of views, but I don't have any questions at this point. I again would like to remind that I'll put this presentation on the Isha website, and I suppose Vivaji, you will also be putting the whole presentation
Yes,
is being recorded.
we'll be putting it on YouTube for why forum.
Hawaii Forum. Okay. Okay. Um, so I was again, I was expecting that there'll be a lot more a live discussion. People do have experiences of their own to share. That there'll be some discussion. Um, if not, I suppose it's a day when it's a long weekend here in US because Monday is Martin Luther King's day. And it's a very nice weekend coming up. Yesterday was very nice, and today warm and sunny. And today is also sunny. I see outside. So maybe not many people have joined. But so Vibaji, if we don't have any questions at this point, then we can exit.
Yes. Yeah, because there's no one is asking nor even the type questions. But it was really very informative and the content was really good. Just to remind us that how much strength Satyam has. It's very good. Yes.
Yes,
The
this is
topic.
something I always keep in mind and think about it. And um, this is something again to dwell on this particular issue, especially now that it has become a current issue. When people did not speak up for 10, 20 years, and now they're speaking up, uh, it shows that there is something. Cultures keep changing. We used to have a culture where people were more cultured. I know when I was growing up, um, people were a lot more honest, at least where I grew up, a lot more caring about relationships, people living in extended families. And I felt that I grew up, I considered I had extended family in 4 houses, 50 people caring for me. Um, and here, the culture, and in India now going where children only know their mother and father, and there's no one around as a relative. Of course, they have friends no matter where they live. But the Western civilization is being copied and moving, and things have changed so much from the time that I was going to school to now. And when I read about what is going on with the Me Too episode, um, I thought this is a topic that I should share my life's experience and my management training and bring together, because for things like Satyam and for um, success for all in life. That's why I put the universal prayer. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Not just me or my family, but Sarve bhavantu sukhina. Sarve santu niramaya. It's just, if we follow this, um, if everyone follows this in the society, then we will have a society where everyone can be happy. Um, so with that thought, if there are no questions, I again,
Yeah, there is one question. One second. It's in question tag. Yes. Can you just click on that question tag? That's one small arrow.
I have webcam, audio, dashboard, attendees, and in
No,
attend.
now, yeah, there is one question.
There is one question.
There's a question written there, and there's a small arrow.
This question, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
I see the question.
Click on that small arrow, and you'll do it.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so A.R. Ganti, great case study from your personal experience. Yes. Yes, Gantiji, that is, thank you. So I spoke from personal experience, and what goes on in was in society when I was growing up and I was in the school, to what is happening now in India and practically everywhere, the Western civilization. Thank you for listening, and again, enjoy the Makar Sankranti day, the beginning of the sun's travel in the Uttarayana for 6 months. I certainly greatly look forward to Uttarayana, um, because having grown up in India and now living in New Jersey, I always find the months of like December, January in New Jersey, like, wow, I mean, can't see sun. It's dark and depressed. So feel like going to India or Florida or California or somewhere, and I do make time to go. Um, so enjoy the sun's travel to Uttarayan. Enjoy Makar Sankranti. Namaskar.
Happy Makar Sankranti to all. You also, yes.
Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much.
Swamiji,
Ved.
thank you for the opportunity to speak. Namaskar. Pranams.
Thank you, Vedji. It was very informative and we really enjoyed it. Hari Om.
Hari Om.